I still remember the exact moment everything shifted. It was a quiet Sunday morning, the kind where the world feels slow and gentle. I was making coffee, humming mindlessly, thinking about nothing in particular. My phone buzzed on the table. I glanced at it with no real expectation. But the second I saw the message preview, my heart stumbled. A single sentence flashed on my screen. "Do you know what your girlfriend is doing behind your back?" At first, I laughed. I actually laughed. Actually, it felt too dramatic, too exaggerated, too ridiculous to take seriously. I assumed it was some spammer or a misdial. But something made me open it. Curiosity or instinct? I'm still not sure. The message wasn't random. It came with details, dates, times, places, and the name of the person who sent it. Stopped me cold. Maya, my girlfriend's closest friend. A woman who stood beside her in every photo, who called her sister, who claimed she was family. That alone made my stomach twist. Why would Maya send something like this? And why now? I read the rest of her message slowly, line by line. She wrote that she couldn't stay silent anymore, that she hated seeing me fooled, that she would send proof soon. The way she framed everything, it was like she was doing me a favor. Like she was the hero stepping forward to expose some terrible truth. For a moment, a tiny moment, doubt planted itself in my mind. That's all betrayal needs. One seed. But I forced myself to breathe. I knew my girlfriend Ria. We had built something real over 2.5 years. She was honest, warm, genuinely kind. The type who told me everything, even the smallest things. I refused to let a single message shake all that. Something about Maya's words stuck under my skin like a splinter. I tried to push it away. Tried to continue my morning. But my mind kept circling back to that message. Why would Maya say something so sharp, so destructive? And why did she sound eager? There was almost excitement in her tone, like she wanted the drama. Wanted the drama. There was almost excitement in her tone, like she wanted the excitement in her tone, like she wanted the drama. Like she'd been waiting for this moment. I opened Maya's profile picture again. It was her usual polished selfie. Perfect makeup, perfect lighting. That familiar forced smile she wore when she wanted attention. Suddenly, memories started resurfacing. Little things I had brushed aside. Her offhand jokes about how everyone cheats these days. Her way of comparing herself to Ria constantly. Her strange habit of complimenting me a little too much when Ria wasn't around. And the way she always made herself the center of conversations, even when she pretended she wasn't trying. I shook my head. Was I being paranoid now? Or had she been planting things for months and I just didn't notice? Then came the second message. A screenshot. My heartbeat kicked into high gear as I zoomed in. It looked like a chat between Ria and some unknown guy. The messages looked real, casual, friendly, maybe too friendly. But something felt off. The timing, the phrasing, the flow, it almost looked assembled. Like pieces stitched together to form something that wasn't actually happening. But even with that suspicion, my chest felt heavy. Images can lie, but emotions react faster than logic. Maya sent another message immediately. I'm only doing this because I care about you. You deserve better. There it was, the line that revealed more than she intended. The tone wasn't concerned. It wasn't protective. It was possessive. I could almost hear her voice, soft, fake sweet, but laced with an edge. Suddenly, the threads started connecting. The late-night calls she made to check on us. The subtle criticism she slipped into conversations. The way she always tried to pull Ria away from group plans. The envy she hid behind compliments. I didn't reply to her. Not yet. I needed time. I needed clarity. My world wasn't breaking, but it was shaking. And that was enough to change everything. What I didn't know then was this. Maya wasn't just trying to ruin my relationship. She'd been plotting it for months. Quietly, patiently, carefully. And I was about to step right into the center of her trap. The days after Maya's messages were the hardest. Every time I saw Ria, I felt this invisible weight pressing down on my chest. I didn't want to believe the words, but the suspicion that had been planted kept growing. And it wasn't just the messages. It was the subtle things I had ignored before, things that now seemed like signs. How Ria would glance at her phone just a little too often. How she sometimes went quiet mid-conversation, staring off into space as if someone else existed in that moment. And then there was Maya, her presence lingering in the background, her laughter echoing like a warning. I tried to push all of it aside, to focus on what I knew about Ria. We had shared nights where we talked until the early morning about dreams, fears, and memories we never told anyone. Her honesty had been a rock in my life, something that I believed would never falter. But the seed of doubt is clever. It grows in silence, feeding on small cracks. I started noticing patterns where there weren't any, reading meaning into innocent actions. The more I tried to dismiss it, the stronger the anxiety became. One evening, I found myself staring at my phone, waiting for a reply from Ria after I texted her a simple, "How was your day?" My heart pounded as the minutes stretched into an hour. When she finally replied, it was casual, almost distant. The tiny shift in tone, which I would have ignored before, felt like a crack in the foundation of our relationship. That night, I couldn't sleep. I replayed every memory of Ria and Maya together, every laugh, every shared secret, every small gesture. Slowly, a picture formed in my mind that didn't exist in reality, but felt horrifyingly real. I began keeping my own little notes, writing down moments that seemed suspicious. I caught myself checking her social media, reading messages, observing patterns. I hated myself for it, yet I couldn't stop. The feeling of being betrayed, even without proof, was overwhelming. My trust was alive one moment and dead the next, swinging like a pendulum in my chest. And all the while, Maya's name loomed large in my thoughts. A shadow that refused to fade. Then, one night, I confronted Ria. We sat in her living room, the soft hum of the city outside making everything feel unreal. I tried to be calm, but my voice betrayed me, trembling as I asked, "Ria, is there something you're not telling me?" She looked at me with wide, confused eyes. I could see her shock, the hurt that flickered across her face. "No," she whispered. "Nothing at all." "Why would you think that?" I wanted to believe her. I wanted to erase the doubts that had been gnawing at me. But the words from Maya's messages echoed louder than Ria's reassurances. My mind kept circling, refusing to trust the woman I loved more than anything. And then it happened. The first real betrayal, or at least what I perceived as one. Maya called Ria, right there, in the middle of our tense conversation. I froze, watching her answer, my stomach twisting. The conversation seemed innocent, polite, even friendly. But my imagination ran wild, filling in gaps with lies that weren't real. I wanted to scream, to pull Ria aside and demand she explain everything. But I stayed quiet, hoping this was just a misunderstanding. Hoping the seed of doubt wasn't yet a tree. Little did I know, that moment was exactly what Maya wanted. She had been planting her little traps for months, building tension, waiting for me to falter. The doubts I had ignored, the trust I had taken for granted, she was weaponizing them. And without me realizing it, I had stepped into a story where I wasn't the hero yet, but the pawn in a game that would soon spiral into chaos. By the end of that week, I realized something terrifying. I couldn't trust Maya. I didn't want to stop doubting Ria, and I had no idea how deep this plan had gone. I felt caught between love and suspicion, loyalty and betrayal, hope and fear. And I knew one thing for certain. I had to uncover the truth before it was too late. But the truth was more complicated than I ever imagined, and what awaited me would push me to the edge of everything I thought I knew about love, friendship, and revenge. The tension between what I felt and what I suspected grew into a storm. Every interaction became a test of nerves. Ria, still unaware of the storm brewing in my mind, continued her routine, smiling, laughing, sharing small moments as if nothing had changed. And yet, every glance she threw toward her phone made my pulse quicken. I knew I was letting doubt control me, but it wasn't entirely unjustified. I couldn't shake the feeling that Maya was constantly lurking in the background, waiting for the right moment to strike, and that Ria might unknowingly step into her web. It wasn't just paranoia. Certain things were undeniably off. Maya had a way of appearing in unexpected places, always seemingly by chance. She'd pop up at cafes we frequented, or casually mention plans she knew about before Ria even told me. I caught her once staring at us from across the park, a smug smile playing at the corners of her lips. The thought hit me like a hammer. She was orchestrating scenes, building tension. She wanted me to question everything, and she was succeeding. My relationship, once my refuge, now felt like a fragile glass waiting to shatter. I tried talking to Ria again, this time more cautiously. "Ria, I feel like someone is trying to come between us," I said, my voice trembling with the edge of panic and hope. She frowned, tilting her head. "What? Who?" I hesitated, not wanting to name Maya outright without evidence. "I don't know yet. But there's something not right." Her eyes softened. She reached out, holding my hand, trying to soothe my fear. We're fine. Don't let rumors or outside voices ruin what we have." I wanted to believe her. I clung to her words, yet deep inside, the gnawing suspicion persisted. Then came the small betrayals. The subtle manipulations that only someone as observant as Maya could execute. She started sending me messages, pretending to be concerned, questioning my judgment, planting tiny seeds. "I'd hate to see you hurt," one message read. Another, "Are you sure she's being honest with you? You deserve to know." Every message was designed to unsettle me, and it worked. I found myself rereading conversations, analyzing tones, searching for hidden meanings in Ria's replies. My mind became a battlefield, and I was losing, one anxious thought at a time. The breaking point arrived unexpectedly during a weekend gathering with friends. Maya showed up with her usual charm, laughing, making small talk, but the undercurrent was palpable. She whispered in my ear a line meant to feel casual but loaded with insinuation. "You should be careful who you trust." Sometimes people hide things from the ones they love. I froze, my stomach sinking. Ria, standing a few steps away, had no idea of the poison dripping into my thoughts. She smiled, oblivious, and I wanted to shake her, to explain that someone was trying to sabotage us. But I couldn't. I had to keep calm, pretending everything was normal. That night, alone in my room, I replayed every interaction. Every laugh, every glance, every seemingly innocent comment from Maya took on new, sinister meaning. I realized I had entered a psychological battlefield without even noticing, and that the game was designed to make me doubt the one person I loved most. Ria wasn't guilty, but I couldn't see that yet. My anger, confusion, and frustration all collided, leaving me desperate for clarity. I knew I had two choices: confront blindly and risk destroying everything, or strategize and uncover the truth carefully. Without letting Maya know she was being watched. By the end of that week, I understood the stakes. This wasn't just about a friendship or a message. Maya had ambition, envy, and malice carefully wrapped in charm and concern. If I didn't act, she could destroy everything I had built with Ria. And for the first time, I realized that revenge wouldn't be just about exposing her. It would be about protecting love from someone who didn't deserve it. Someone who thought she could manipulate our lives like a game. The betrayal didn't come as a loud crash. It arrived like a whisper, a subtle sting that cut deep. It started with an innocuous invitation from Ria. "Let's go through old photos. I want to see our memories." I thought it would be harmless, a moment of nostalgia. But as we scrolled through pictures, a message popped up on Ria's phone accidentally. From Maya. I froze. The message wasn't explicit, but it was enough to confirm my suspicions. Maya had been influencing Ria behind the scenes, subtly planting doubts, guiding conversations, and isolating her from me without her noticing. My chest tightened as I realized how meticulous and calculated the plan had been. I confronted Ria gently, hoping to avoid a storm. "Ria, Maya's been manipulating things between us, hasn't she?" Her eyes widened in shock. "Manipulating? I didn't realize." She stammered. She showed me the conversation, her confusion palpable. The truth spilled out slowly. Maya had been creating stories, exaggerating incidents, and even sending fake proofs of betrayal to test me. She hadn't succeeded yet, but the cracks were beginning to show. I felt a mix of relief and fury. Relief that Ria had been innocent, fury at Maya's audacity. The deeper I dug, the clearer it became. Maya's jealousy wasn't hidden. It radiated from every message, every subtle action. She envied Ria's life, her happiness, and my love for her. She wanted control, but more importantly, she wanted to hurt. Every seemingly small act, a well-timed comment, a misleading text, a carefully edited screenshot was part of a larger design. The meticulousness was astonishing, and I couldn't help but admire her cunning even as it made my blood boil. Ria and I spent hours piecing together what had happened. Her trust in me never wavered, and yet I could see the toll it had taken. She had been confused, hurt, and unknowingly complicit in conversations that made me doubt her. The more we uncovered, the more it became clear. This wasn't just about jealousy. It was about power and control. Maya wanted to feel superior, to prove she could manipulate lives without consequence. And for months, she had succeeded in keeping her intentions hidden. That night, after everything was laid bare, I felt a mixture of sadness and determination. Sadness for the way trust had been tested, for the emotional roller coaster Ria had endured without knowing, and for the betrayal of someone we once considered a friend. Determination because I knew that if I didn't respond, Maya would never stop. She would continue manipulating, scheming, and poisoning relationships. This betrayal wasn't just a lesson. It was a call to action. I made a silent promise to myself. I wouldn't let Maya control the narrative anymore. I wouldn't allow her to create chaos from the shadows. I needed a plan, a way to reveal her true nature without stooping to her level of deception. But planning revenge is never simple. It requires patience, precision, and the ability to anticipate the enemy's moves. And Maya was cunning. The kind of person who thrives on underestimation and by the end of the night, I had a strategy forming in my mind. I would gather evidence, observe every step she took, and expose her manipulations in a way that couldn't be denied. I didn't want to destroy her physically or emotionally. I wanted to neutralize her schemes, reveal the truth, and restore the love and trust that had been threatened. And as I drifted into a restless sleep, I realized that the next few days would be the turning point, the moment when careful planning could transform suspicion into justice. I knew confronting Maya directly would only play into her hands. She thrived on drama, on creating chaos and watching people react. To win, I had to think like her, quietly, strategically, and with patience. The first step was observation. I started noting her habits, her favorite haunts, the people she confided in, and the way she used information as a weapon. Every message she sent, every comment she made on social media, every laugh that seemed innocent. It became a piece of a puzzle that I was determined to solve. The second step was evidence. I needed proof of her manipulations, not just my suspicions. I started capturing screenshots of her messages, recording patterns in her behavior, and documenting instances where she subtly tried to sow doubt. It felt like detective work, and strangely, it was empowering. The more I collected, the more I felt control returning. I realized that Maya had assumed she could operate without consequence, and I intended to show her just how wrong she was. Meanwhile, I made sure to protect Ria from further influence. I started being more present, more attentive, and more openly communicative. I explained to her the tactics manipulators use, without naming Maya yet, so she could recognize any attempts to sway her judgment. Together, we strengthened our bond, creating a united front. Every subtle smile, every reassurance, every shared moment was a shield against the chaos Maya had tried to bring. Then came the psychological part of the plan. Maya was arrogant and underestimated the patience of those she tried to deceive. I decided to use that against her. I pretended uncertainty in our interactions, hinting at doubts, but never fully revealing that I knew her schemes. I sent neutral messages that sounded casual but were designed to make her overextend herself, revealing more than she intended. Slowly, she began to slip, showing cracks in her confident facade. I also leveraged her social circle. Maya had friends who unknowingly echoed her manipulations, forwarding half-truths or exaggerations. I began subtle conversations with them, planting seeds of curiosity about her motives without appearing confrontational. They asked questions, noticed inconsistencies, and started observing her behavior more closely. It was a slow burn, but every small movement pushed her closer to exposure. The plan wasn't about cruelty. I wasn't trying to humiliate Maya publicly or destroy her life. My goal was to reveal her manipulations, neutralize her influence, and restore trust between Ria and me. Every action I took was calculated, every word carefully chosen. I had to stay patient. Revenge, I realized, wasn't about anger alone. It was about precision, timing, and ensuring that the truth came out clearly, without ambiguity. Finally, I prepared the ultimate step, the reveal. I would gather everything, messages, behaviors, testimonies, patterns, and present them in a way that couldn't be denied. Maya's web of deceit was intricate, but the more I documented, the easier it became to unravel. And when that day came, the truth would be undeniable. The manipulator would be exposed, the lies dismantled, and our love and trust fortified. The plan was in motion, and there was no turning back. The day finally arrived. I arranged a casual meeting with Maya under the guise of friendly conversation, knowing she wouldn't suspect that the calm exterior masked a storm of evidence. I met her in a quiet cafe, a neutral place where neither of us would be interrupted. She arrived, smiling that same confident, charming smile, unaware that everything she had carefully orchestrated was about to unravel before her eyes. I started subtly, asking questions that seemed innocent but were designed to prompt her to reveal inconsistencies. Her answers were measured at first, but cracks began appearing. I could see the tension in her eyes, the hesitation in her voice. She realized something was off, though she didn't yet know the full extent of my knowledge. Every pause, every over-explained sentence, every nervous laugh was a small victory. I remained calm, collected, observing her reactions like a hawk. Then I presented the evidence, methodically, patiently. Screenshots of messages, detailed notes of her manipulations, examples of lies she had told, and patterns she had formed over months. I laid it out like a story, showing how she had tried to isolate Ria, plant doubt, and manipulate our relationship for her own gain. I watched as her confident facade crumbled. Her eyes widened, her smile disappeared, and her words faltered. Maya tried to justify herself, claiming concern, friendship, or misunderstanding, but the weight of evidence was undeniable. I stayed composed, letting the facts speak for themselves. Each revelation hit her harder than any argument I could have made. The subtle manipulations, the fake proofs, the careful orchestration, every piece was exposed. She realized that the game she had been playing with precision and patience had been carefully documented. Turned back on her. For the first time, I saw vulnerability in someone who had always seemed untouchable. The arrogance, the manipulative confidence, it all vanished in the face of truth. I didn't yell. I didn't humiliate her. I let her see herself through the mirror of her own actions. The silence in that cafe was heavy, charged with the gravity of her exposure. I could see the realization dawning. She had underestimated me. She had underestimated love, patience, and the power of truth. By the end of the confrontation, Maya was left speechless, stripped of the influence she had wielded. I gave her a final message. I wouldn't escalate matters publicly, but she would never interfere with my life or Ria's again. It wasn't revenge fueled by malice. It was a lesson in boundaries, integrity, and respect. The manipulator had been revealed, and the balance restored. As I walked out with Ria, the weight lifted from my shoulders. The confrontation had been tense, emotionally draining, but necessary. Justice wasn't about cruelty. It was about setting things right, reclaiming what had been threatened, and ensuring that manipulation and deceit could no longer find a place in our lives. After the confrontation, life slowly returned to normal, but with a deeper understanding. Ria and I spent time rebuilding our trust, reaffirming our bond, and processing the emotional chaos we had endured. Conversations became more open, moments more meaningful, and every shared smile felt earned. The experience had tested our love, challenged our patience, and revealed vulnerabilities, yet it had also strengthened us. We laughed more, shared memories, and created new experiences to replace the ones tainted by suspicion. I realized that true trust isn't blind. It's tested and reinforced. Every small action, every honest conversation, became a brick in the foundation of our renewed relationship. The fear and doubt that Maya had tried to instill were replaced with mutual respect, transparency, and a shared sense of security. Maya, meanwhile, faded from our lives. Her influence was neutralized, her schemes exposed. I didn't pursue vengeance beyond the confrontation. There was no need. Her own actions had spoken louder than words. Life without her interference was calmer, freer, and more focused on what truly mattered. It was a lesson in the power of patience and strategy. Sometimes exposing truth is more effective than retaliation fueled by anger. I also learned to recognize manipulative patterns, to trust instincts while maintaining perspective, and to prioritize the relationships that genuinely matter. This experience taught me that betrayal doesn't always come from obvious places, but clarity, patience, and careful observation can uncover the truth. It wasn't just about revenge. It was about understanding human behavior and protecting what is valuable. Through all this, Ria remained my anchor. Her resilience, honesty, and unwavering commitment were reminders of why our love endured. We had faced manipulation together, survived suspicion, and emerged stronger. The bond between us wasn't just restored, it was fortified, and the experience became a story of triumph over deceit. Every story of betrayal carries a lesson, and ours was no different. Manipulation, envy, and deceit can come in the most unexpected forms, even from those we consider close. But the key lies in patience, observation, and calm determination. Reacting impulsively or with anger can allow manipulators to gain power, but clarity and strategy turn the tide. Trust is fragile, yet it can be rebuilt stronger than before. Honest communication, mutual support, and attentiveness to each other's emotions form the backbone of any lasting relationship. Ria and I discovered that love is not just about passion and joy. It's about facing adversity together, standing against external forces, and refusing to let others dictate our story. Revenge need not be cruel. It can be about justice, exposure, and restoration. Maya's actions were revealed not by malice, but by careful documentation, patience, and strategic confrontation. The lesson here is that truth and integrity are powerful weapons, far stronger than deception or manipulation. Finally, the experience reminded me that vigilance and awareness are essential in relationships. Recognizing subtle patterns, questioning motives without losing perspective, and prioritizing the people who truly matter are skills that protect the heart. It's not about paranoia. It's about conscious care and respect for oneself and loved ones. Looking back, I understand that betrayal is not always the end. Sometimes, it's a test, a catalyst for growth, and an opportunity to strengthen bonds. The pain, doubt, and anger we felt were real, but so was the triumph of patience, love, and justice. And as Ria and I move forward, we do so with hearts resilient, eyes clear, and a story that proves the power of truth over deception. In the end. And a story that proves the power of truth over deception. In the end. The lesson is simple. Deception may come disguised as friendship, but truth will always find a way to shine. Protect your love, trust wisely, and let integrity guide your actions. Those who try to harm you may be clever, but patience, strategy, and love are stronger than any manipulation. And that is how we turned betrayal into a victory, rewriting a story that could have ended in heartbreak into one of justice, resilience, and hope.